Hey guys, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. Before we get into the report, like usual, if you guys use any of the guides or resorts mentioned in today's report, please let them know you saw them on Livin MN Outdoors. Also, if you guys would like your pictures in next week's fishing report, please send them in to us on Facebook or to our email at livinmnoutdoors@gmail.com. And with that being said, let's dive in to this week's report. All right, this week we are going to start up on Leech Lake. Leech Lake, the mayfly hatch is in full swing as of right now, but the walleye bite still seems to be pretty consistent. Now, it does have the fish scattered a little bit, but the weed lines near soft bottom is a good place to start looking for those fish. The best methods to catch those fish: bottom bouncers, a spinner rig, or a slip bobber. Now, the bait of choice right now is a night crawler. They still are getting some of those fish on leeches, but night crawlers seem to be the key as of right now. Now, some other areas that you can look for walleyes is flats in 10 to 14 feet of water. They tend to be a little more scattered in those areas, but if you tie on a crankbait in a perch or a crawfish pattern, you're probably going to run into some really nice walleyes out there. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, some of the bluegills are still up in tight to the shallow weed lines and reeds, but the majority of the bluegills and crappies, they have pulled out. They're on the first breaks in deep weed lines from anywhere to 10 to 14 feet of water. The best way to catch those fish is with a small jig in a plastic or a slip bobber in a small panfish leech. Now, pike. They're catching pike along with just about everything. They're catching them while they're fishing walleyes, panfish, bass. The pike kind of seem to be mixed in everywhere, and they're having some pretty good success catching pike. Now, as far as the bass bite goes, the smallmouth bass, look for main lake rock piles, boulders. The best ways to catch those right now is with a jerk bait, a Ned rig, or a drop shot. As far as colors go, PB&J, it's hard to beat that color. The smallmouth love it, so that's what I would typically throw for the smallmouth bass. Now, the musky bite. The musky bite has been good, and it's been really slow. It seems to be really inconsistent right now. Wind blown rock points have held quite a few fish. A variety of different baits are working, so you gotta kind of cycle through them and you might get one of those muskies to bite. As far as largemouth bass, look for the rice beds, look for the reeds. They're up in shallow, and go ahead and pitch some plastics or topwaters up in those shallow weeds. Now, if you're looking for a guide out on Leech Lake, we highly recommend the guys from Leech Lake Guide Team LLC. They do a phenomenal job of putting people on fish, whether it's a couple guys or a family with young kids. They can accommodate all types of families, and you will have a blast fishing with those guys out on Leech Lake. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Leech Lake, we highly recommend Horseshoe Bay Lodge. They are full for the 4th of July, but the following week, July 9th through the 16th, they have a 3 and a 4 bedroom cabin available. If you guys mention Livin MN Outdoors, you will get a special discount on those cabins, and you will have a blast up at Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Now, Horseshoe Bay Lodge, they have a beautiful marina. Whether you're staying there or not, pull up in there, park your boat, go have something to eat and drink. They have a full bar and restaurant, swimming pool, hot tub, sauna, condos, hotel rooms, whatever you're looking for. Cam and Courtney will hook it up at Horseshoe Bay Lodge. All right, now moving over to Mille Lacs Lake. The bite on Mille Lacs Lake has been really good this year. Some people have said that it's the best bite they've seen in 30 plus years. The walleye and smallmouth are going nuts out there. As far as where to find the walleyes right now, they're catching walleyes in anywhere from 10 to 30 feet of water. This past week, during the middle of the day, and all day out on the mud flats. They're pulling lead core now, they're using bottom bouncers, and they're picking up some really nice fish out on the mud flats. Now, if you don't want to get out and fish the mud flats, they're still catching fish on those reefs and rock humps in 18 to 24 feet of water. They're pulling spinners, crankbaits. People are still using slip bobbers and leeches, and they're having a ton of success. Now, in the evening or early mornings, they're pulling up in shallow. A lot of fish are still being caught in 8 to 14 feet of water. Big Point over on the southeast side and Hennepin Island are producing tons of fish in that shallow 8 to 14 feet of water. Now, as far as smallmouth bass go, they have started to move out of the shallows a little bit, but still a lot of those really nice fish are being caught in 6 feet of water out to about 16 feet of water. Look for rocks, look for sand to rock transitions, secluded boulders, a Ned rig, drop shot, jerk baits, and even some hair jigs are still producing some really nice smallmouth out on Mille Lacs. Now, as far as the pike bite goes, in Isle Bay, they're catching a lot of pike in 7 to 12 feet of water. They're trolling big spoons, crankbaits, big spinner baits, and they're picking up some really nice pike out in Isle Bay. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes, they're still catching quite a few muskies in Isle Bay, but a lot of those fish are starting to move out into the deep water, and people are picking them up out just roaming in those big basins. If you're looking for those muskies out in the deep water, try and locate a school of tullabies, and there's sure to be a big muskie lurking somewhere nearby. Now, if you guys are looking for a resort or a guide on Mille Lacs Lake, we highly recommend Castles Resort. They have beautiful cabins there, they have pontoon rentals, they have private guides, they also run their launch trips out of there. So go ahead, check them out on Facebook or their website. If you want to get out on one of their launch trips, you do need to make a reservation, so go ahead, give them a call or shoot them a message on Facebook and reserve your seat for the launch. So if you guys are looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake, go ahead and call Jeff from Castles Resort. All right, now moving over to Lake Winnebagochish. There is a massive mayfly hatch out on Lake Winnie right now, and it has made the walleye fishing extremely tough. Now, if you're willing to put in some time and effort, you can still pick up some of those fish, but you're going to need to put some work in order to catch some of those fish. Now, where you can find those fish, if you're fishing in the bay, Tamarack Bay that is, they're still catching them in deep weed lines, anywhere from 10 to 14 feet of water. You need to be uptight on those weeds though, pulling cranks, spinners, slip bobbers, but right now I highly recommend using a night crawler. Now, on the main lake, the deep humps, the deep rock, that's where they're finding the majority of the walleyes now, but they are extremely hard to get to bite right now because of all of the mayflies out there. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, they are catching some perch up in the bay. They're in those deep weed lines up in there. Out on the main lake, they're still extremely scattered, really hard to find. So if you're looking for perch, I highly recommend trying the bay and searching until you find a good school of perch. Now, as far as panfish go, the bluegills, they're still up in shallow, anywhere from 4 to 12 feet of water. Look in the weeds, the reeds. If you can find some rice, that's where you're going to find those bluegills, and there is some really big bluegills to be had out on Lake Winnie. Now, as far as the crappies go, they are picking up a few crappies in those deep weed lines, but the majority of the crappies are coming from the river channel, and they're suspended out over deep water. Now, I didn't really get any information on the bass bite or the muskie bite, but the northern pike bite is still on fire out there. They told me you still really can't do anything wrong. You're gonna catch pike no matter what you're doing. But if you specifically want to target them, troll with spoons, big spinner baits, or crankbaits, and you're gonna catch a ton of pike. Now, if you're looking for a guide out on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend Zupsguideservice. Scott Zupfer is an extremely good guide out there. He's fun to fish with, very professional, top of the line gear. He does not have a ton of availability left in July, but August and September there is some availability. And also he is running twilight trips this year, so 5:30 to 9:30 he'll take you out. He has a ton of availability for those twilight trips, so go ahead, look up Scott, give him a call, and book a guide trip out on Lake Winnie. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Lake Winnie, we recommend the Pines Resort. Chad runs a great operation there. They got a bunch of cabins, they got camper sites, they got a full bar and restaurant, they got a fish cleaning house, they have live bait on hand. You can rent a boat or a pontoon from them, and they can help hook you up with a guide as well. So if you guys are looking to get up to Lake Winnie this coming weekend or in the future, go ahead and call Chad from the Pines Resort. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report, guys. Really appreciate all the support. If you guys could, hit that like button, leave a comment down below. If you want, share out the video. The more people we reach, the better off the video is. If you guys do get out fishing this coming weekend, just remember, be kind at the boat ramp, lend a helping hand. Remember to wear your life jacket, especially when your boat is moving. Let's try and make life jackets cool again. But don't crowd your neighbor. Have a blast. And most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.